All right, what's up? This is Movie Geek Griff with my pre-Oscar rant. Probably do one post as well. Again, Movie Geek Griff. Please subscribe, like, follow, etc., etc. Got to remember the camera is over here. The camera hole's over there. Got my Jordan Peele Funko Pop in the background. So, I'm here to rant about it. Yes, let me go ahead and admit I am biased beforehand. I will happily admit that. I will gladly admit that. I think Sinners was the best movie of last year. The one drawback, the one con that they did, Mr. Coogler and maybe not even Coogler, but the distribution company and the production company, they released it in April or March. So, typically not a good time to release your Oscar fare. The Oscar season starts around, September, October, November. October, November, December, that's when the heated Oscar pictures come out. And as such, One Battle After Another and Marty Supreme have overtaken Sinners as the front runner. Trying not to get too much into racial politics, but inevitably, inexplicably, no, not inexplicably, there's a reason. Race will play, a role in such matters as these. But the one main thing is they should have released it in March and April of last year. You're going to do something that you think you even has the remotest, slightest chance of being an Oscar contender, you need to do it in the fall/winter. So that's why One Battle After Another by Paul Thomas Anderson and Marty Supreme by one of the Safdie brothers has taken over the conversation and kind of put Sinners in the review. There's also, we'll get to the best pictures. So, and I think they just had the Critics' Choice Awards and One Battle After Another as Best Picture and Best Director, and I think Timothée Chalamet as Best Actor. So Sinners is just getting overshadowed. It was the darling of spring and through the summer, and I think they re-released it in the fall. It's box office numbers are better than One Battle After Another and Marty Supreme, but it was released way back in the day, and it's kind of like it's a horror genre. The Academy's not too fond of those in general, so it has 2 strikes again. It's being released that early of last year. Well, 3 strikes. It's a mostly black-centered cast. Moonlight was an anomaly because at first, they weren't even. They. I don't know how they miscounted that or said it wrong or announced it wrong. But I think it was Annette Bening and Warren Beatty. I think at the 2017 Oscars, they said La La Land. They were like, no, was it Annette Bening and Warren Beatty? I think it was them. But they announced it was La La Land, and it wasn't La La Land. It was Moonlight. So, it's almost been 10 years. So I won't say black-led or black-centric or mostly black-cast movies get the short shift, but sometimes they do, because it's almost been 10 years since Moonlight. And they didn't give any love to Viola Davis for The Woman King, or The Woman King in general. I think that was so terrible. Anyway, so yeah, Michael B. Jordan did 2 roles / maybe 3 roles, and it's crazy because they were like, oh, he just the new technology, and it's not that big deal to be twins. But when Tom Hardy did it for was it Warrior, where he was the 2 brothers, the mobsters. Warrior was the other one where he was fighting his brother. I forget what the Tom Hardy movie is where him and his brother are twin. The critics lauded that as him playing twins, but Michael B. Jordan is like, we've seen it before. It's like, but Tom Hardy was revelatory, right? Anyway, I digress. But I don't. Because Michael B. Okay, so everyone's saying that. Everyone's talking about Leonardo DiCaprio. And I've seen Sinners. I've seen twice. I've seen Marty Supreme, and One Battle After Another. Hamnet, I'm not. I gotta. That's the best picture. This like the second part. I'm not. Some movies are too much downers to see, even for me. Like I saw The Long Walk Home. Long Walk. Great movie. That's a one time viewing. It's a hard watch, and I'm not really gonna see that. Even though it's a great drama, I'm not. It's too much of a downer. I'm not gonna see that multiple times. So we'll get to those best pictures in a minute. Best actor. Of course, I'm biased, as I said. Sinners. Michael B. Jordan playing twins. If it was that great when Tom Hardy did it, I can't remember what was the Tom Hardy movie. Then it should be just as great when Michael B. Jordan did it. Tom Hardy twin movie. Legend. There it is. Boom. Legend. It was awesome when Tom Hardy did Legend. Legend, Warrior. But Michael B. Jordan is like, he just did it. Really? Anyway. So I'm not that big a Timothée Chalamet fan at all. Matter of fact, I'm looking at his filmography here. Marty Supreme. Okay. So-so movie. Timothée Chalamet did a great role. He acted that part. He did very well. I will give him that. Being an asshole, I think I've seen. It's not, and there was a movie back in the '90s where the protagonist was an asshole like that. But the camera, everybody. I want to say I want to say if it was the Edward Norton role, because he's good for being those smart alecky, smart ass. Just tell you like it is, kind of Aspergery, like say what's on your mind with high intelligence. I don't know if it was Rounders. I don't know what it was, but it's the kind of roles that Edward Norton played back in the day, where just a smart ass and kind of an asshole, but he's really intelligent. So yeah, he did. Timothée Chalamet did good in Marty Supreme. The movie, it's okay. He did well. He didn't do better than Michael B. Jordan. Okay. That's, art is subjective. This is just my opinion. It's just my rant. Everyone has one. Everyone's has channels. Everyone's doing their little rant about the Oscars, what have you. Leonardo DiCaprio in One Battle After Another. Again, One Battle After Another. Paul PTA, love him. But I went back and looked at his filmography, and I was like, I haven't really been jazzed about a Paul Thomas Anderson film since There Will Be Blood. That was 2007. All the stuff he's done since, Licorice Pizza. I saw Master, wasn't impressed. I think I started Inherent Vice, but I couldn't finish it because it was just, I think it was glacially slow. But he hasn't done anything that's really wowed me since There Will Be Blood. But I wanted to see this because I'm on the fence about One Battle After Another, because I was like, dude, where's this movie coming out of nowhere? And now no one's saying this is the best picture and just shitting on Sinners. But saw it. I went in with low expectations for One Battle After Another, but I was pleasantly surprised. One Battle After Another is a very good movie. It is yes, a best picture contender. Marty Supreme isn't, but One Battle After Another is. However, we're talking about best actors because we're trying to keep the thread, but I'm going everywhere. Leonardo DiCaprio in that movie, that is not best actor material. As a matter of fact, as I was watching it, I was like, this guy's just doing the dude from The Big Lebowski. He's not Jeff Daniels. What's his name? Bridges. I was like, I'm watching the film like he's just doing Jeff Bridges, the dude from The Big Lebowski, but not as good. I wasn't impressed. I just wasn't impressed. I was like, he was just clowny and goofy, and I thought he was just riffing off the dude from The Big Lebowski, and not as well. Everyone's talking about Benicio may get supporting. Benicio really didn't do anything. He was the sensei, but he was kind of, I don't know if he was a secondary character. He was like a tertiary character, but he was, I don't know. I just didn't. Benicio's done much smarter, much more intelligent, much more nuanced work than he did as the sensei. Chase Infinity, I think should get a nomination. She was pretty good. Excuse me for introducing a new actor or actress doing a role, because they do that sometimes. I think Kwanzaa Ellis got that for the movie she was in. She was the little girl in the magical land. I forgot what it was called. Anyway, and then she was in Annie, the remake with Jamie Foxx and Charlize Theron, Cameron Diaz. Um, but Tiana Taylor, she just won the Golden Globe. She'll probably get nominated. Her her role, give me a second, was problematic for me. I when she first came on the scene, she was a live wire. I was like, yeah, oh, she's eating up the screen, chewing up scenery, good. But then she delved into caricature, and I was like, oh, okay. She was just full of piss and wind and fiery vinegar, and it was just she was eating up the screen when she first came on, and then she opened her mouth and was like, just I was just disappointed. Once she started talking, I was like, okay. They were playing off the Jungle Fever thing with a Sean's Penn character. I was disappointed. She started off so well, and then it just kind of took a nosedive. But that's stuff the Academy likes, so she'll probably get nominated. Sean Penn deserves his Oscar nomination. He may even deserve a win. I got to see who the other nominees are. And the Oscar nominations are this Thursday, the 22nd. But Sean Penn was pretty damn good. I wanted to like Tiana's character, but once we got more and more into her character and her motivations, I was like, okay, that's not where I thought it was going. I thought she was going to be more powerful, more awesome, but just delved into caricature, so I didn't like it. Anyway, yeah, Chase Infinity, yeah. Tiana Taylor, probably give it to her. Leonardo DiCaprio, no. Benicio del Toro, no. The movie itself, yes. Direction by PTA, yes. Sean Penn, yes. Was One Battle After Another better than Sinners? No. It's of the times we live in right now. I know when we see movies, they've been done a year plus. So and the current administration came to be in January 2025. But it's very prescient of our times. So I think that's why it's striking a chord and may overtake Sinners, because of the administration and where we are in America. And yeah, it speaks to that very clearly, very loudly. So I think that's why I may take it, because it's apropos of the times we are in. That's the only reason I can see it possibly overtaking Senators. But getting back to Timothée Chalamet. So not impressed by the dude. I was looking at his filmography, and everyone points out I've never liked Willy Wonka, whether it was Gene Wilder, whether it was Johnny Depp. That's just never been my thing. It's kind of a dumb story to me. The Dune movies, remember we talked about him in Dune. Dune is an IP genre sci-fi pick. You could replace Timothée Chalamet with anybody else, and it would still do those numbers because of the readership of the book, the built-in audience of the book. Denis Villeneuve doing the movie, the awesome sound, cinematography, visual effects, SFX, CGI. You could plug and play anybody in those movies, and they would still do the numbers they did. Same with Zendaya. Those movies aren't popular because they didn't make that much money because of Timothée Chalamet and Zendaya. You can plug and play any actor or actress in those roles, and those movies would still make that much money. So those genre IP movies, I don't consider those good barometers of the acting talent. I haven't seen The Little Women. I haven't seen The Beautiful Boy. I haven't seen Call Me by Your Name. Complete Unknown. I'm not a Bob Dylan guy, so I don't think I could look at like I did Ray, because then it's a cultural thing. Let's just say what it is. I'm more familiar with historical black figures than I am with historical white figures. Not by a lot. I know historical figures, but Bob Dylan wasn't one. Like when I watched Ray, I could tell that Jamie Foxx was channeling Ray. If I watched The Complete Unknown, I'm not a big Bob Dylan person, never followed him, so I wouldn't be able to watch that and be like, yeah, he's doing a pretty good facsimile of the actual real person. I couldn't do that because I'm not a big Bob Dylan person, so can't go by that. Didn't see Lady Bird. I'm gonna try and watch Bones and All before the Oscars. Didn't see Rainy Day in New York. Hot Summer Nights, didn't see that. I did go back and watch one that he's not known for called The King back in 2019. He did pretty good in that. And you have to understand, I'm an 80s baby, 90s kid. So the 80s and the 90s, that's when I moved my movies, and that's when I came my knowledge of movies and how awesome they are. Um, so my leading man dudes of my time, they were all big muscular dudes that really Arnold, Sly, and Bruce Willis, the trifecta of Planet Hollywood. You know, these were my action icons, my leading men. The guys today, they're just really wafy and skinny, and they don't. I'm like, you couldn't take on. What did the character say in the preview for the Amateur with Rami Malek? The guy was talking to him. He's like, I don't think you could take a 90-pound nun. And that's what I see when I look at Timothy Chalamet, or I can't think of the other guy. There was another skinny guy. They're like, oh yeah, he's good. I'm like, that dude? I can't think of who it is. It's not Glenn Powell. It's another kind of skinny dude. And I'm like, y'all think he's leading man potential? Really? That guy? Ugh, okay, not my cup of tea. So I don't believe these guys when I see them on screen. Like, oh yeah, yeah, okay. I can't. It's hardly believable. But he was good in The King. Timothy Chalamet was good in The King. But again, they're not like to be a movie star. You can't just act good. You got to exude a charm and that X factor, and you gotta have presence, gravitas. You gotta leap off the screen, whether it be the movie you're watching, the interview you're doing, or whatever. And I just don't get that from Chalamet. He's just like bland. I can't think of the other actor that's like Timothy Chalamet, but they're like, yeah, this guy too, and I'm like, that guy. They don't pop off the screen of any screen. I'm like, actors like Timothy Chalamet, like, go. Yes, that's what I want you to do. I'm like, okay. Paul Mescal, he's another one. He was in Gladiator 2, and I'm looking at the guy. I'm like, no. Even in Gladiator 2, he was just like, he what they say in Thor Ragnarok, Hulk, Smolder, and Thor Burn, or something like it's with Paul Mescal, it's a smolder, but it's not a raging fire. You know, Thor, smolder, Hulk, raging fire. Like Paul Mescal is a smolder. It's not a raging fire. He doesn't pop off the screen. Tom Holland, yeah. Austin Butler. I kind of like Austin Butler a little bit more. He has a little more pop. Jacob Elordi, I got to see this Frankenstein movie. But yeah, a lot of the leading men, I'm like, So yeah, but I'm biased because I grew up in the 80s, and that's not my leading man that I'm used to. I think maybe the last leading man that's like, you look at him as like, this dude kicked somebody's ass, is probably the old guard. That's the last action hero that we're going to see that's like that, is probably Keanu Reeves as John Wick. You know, back in the 80s and 90s. You know, the 80s we had the big three I talked about, and then 90s we had like Wesley Snipes. Here later in the 2000s we had Jason Statham. I think Keanu's like the last like action hero that you could look at and say, yeah, this dude could do some damage. You look at Timothy Chalamet or Paul Mescal, you don't think, yeah, they could fuck somebody up. I don't think that. You know, that's not leading man material, but that's just me. But yeah, Timothy Chalamet, I don't think he should beat Michael B. Jordan. I don't. I've seen Marty Supreme. Did a good job, but he just wasn't a very likable character. Best Picture. I don't think One Battle After Another or Marty Supreme are better than Sinners. When I think of Best Picture, I think of grand scale. I think of a movie you can't get out of your mind for like months. Back in the day, for me, it was like Saving Private Ryan, The English Patient. These were big spectacles, grand scale. You can see that in Sinners. You don't see grand scale on One Battle After Another and Marty Supreme. I don't feel like this is appointment movie seeing this. I have to see this movie on the big screen. Marty Supreme and One Battle After Another, you could see those on a streaming service, on your tablet, on your TV. When you go to the movies, like Avatar or whatever, it has to be grand spectacle up there. That's what you get from Sinners. You don't get that from Marty Supreme or One Battle After Another, and that's why, I don't think they should win. But that's just me. Last movie geek Griff, that's me running my mouth for 20 minutes. I am so sorry. But yeah, let me know what you think in the comments. And Oscar nominations are Thursday. I'm out. Thanks for watching and tuning in.